Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in Torquay, but not the Torquay in the UK. I'm actually in Torquay in southern Australia, and I'm here to do the Great Ocean Road. So the Great Ocean Road is a 240-kilometre drive of rugged coastline along the southern coast of Australia, and I've seen it described as one of the best coastal drives in the world. So I'm here to find out if that's true. I'm going to visit some beauty spots, find some viewpoints, take lots of photos and see what wildlife we can find along the way. So grab a coffee because this could be a long one. So the Great Ocean Road starts in Torquay. It's the home of surfing in Australia. It was where the brand Quicksilver was founded, the home of Rip Curl, and as you can probably tell, it's a bit windy. There's plenty of kite surfers on the water behind me. And I've got one question. Is this the world's greatest coastal drive? If you've made it all the way through the video to this point, well done. So I just want to have a little chat about prices, hire car, accommodation, places that we ate, little tips that might benefit anybody looking to do the Great Ocean Road. Originally, we were planning on doing a camper van trip, so we were looking at hiring a camper van. But when we've looked into it, a hire car and staying over at different accommodations was substantially cheaper. My other concern was that we knew we were going to be stopping at lots of different places and reversing a camper van in and out of lots of parking spaces. I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me. However, I needn't have worried because all the locations, the car parks, there's plenty of parking and there's plenty of bays for large vehicles as well. So when I've looked into hire cars, there was one in the central Melbourne I could pick up and it was quite cheap. It saved me a trip to the airport, so that's where all the other hire car companies seem to be operating from. So I was able to get a quick lift to pick the hire car up in the centre of Melbourne. And we booked it for 5 days and it was 329 Australian dollars, which works out at about 164 pounds. And that works out about £33 a day, which isn't too bad at all. There was a £200 bond. We'll get that back minus any toll road fees or any parking fines. So yeah, it was a very easy process of getting the hire car, and we booked it with a company called Cheaper Car Rentals. It was a Toyota Corolla, small, basic, it worked, it was automatic. Most important thing, it had air conditioning, because we've had a couple of real red hot days, and so the aircon definitely came into its own. It's worth reading the small print though. On the hire car contract, we're only limited to 200 kilometres a day. So given that we were doing the Great Ocean Road, I was a little bit concerned, but again, I needn't have been. 200 kilometres a day is ample. We did over 200 kilometres on the first day, and then about 100 kilometres on day 2, and then less than 100 kilometres on day 3. So it balances out overall. And there's plenty of petrol stations on the route as well, so you don't have to worry about keeping the car topped up. Also in the small print was I wasn't allowed to take the car out of Victoria State. So if you are planning a trip up to Sydney, that might be an issue. So just worth just having a look at the small print. So the cars over here are left-hand drive. So if you're coming from the UK, it's very easy. All the speed limits are in kilometres per hour. Top tip if you're driving from the UK. If you're turning left or right at traffic lights, pedestrians crossing have right of way. And it takes some getting used to, but when you think about it, it makes sense. So yeah, just be mindful if you are turning left or right at traffic lights, pedestrians that are crossing the road have priority. So before we set off from the Great Ocean Road, we did plenty of research, and most people recommended breaking it down into 3 days, which is what we did. So day 1, we collected the hire car from Melbourne, and then drove down to Torquay, which is the official start of the Great Ocean Road. And then we drove on to Apollo Bay, stopping at various locations. Really enjoyable first day, 200 plus kilometres, and we stayed at a place called Apollo Dream Suites in Apollo Bay. Found that through booking.com. And that worked out at $119 for the night, so it's about £59. Beautiful accommodation, kangaroos basically 100 metres from the doorstep, very comfortable, very clean, highly recommended. So we got into the accommodation, dropped his bags, and then dropped down into Apollo Bay to find something to eat. A lovely American diner, something to eat there, and then headed back to the digs. So day 2, from Apollo Bay through to Port Campbell. So we had some breakfast down at a lovely bakery in Apollo Bay, stopping off at various locations all the way through to Port Campbell. A much shorter day than day 1. And we stayed at the NRMA Port Campbell. It's a little holiday site, and we got a little cabin there. Port Campbell, beautiful. There was a brewery there. We had some evening meal, pizza ordered from the brewery, and ate that on the beach with a bottle of wine, watching the sunset. Cracking day. So day 3 from Port Campbell, a lovely breakfast at a little bakery, a little cafe in Port Campbell, and then we headed on to Allansford, which is the official end of the Great Ocean Road. And we stayed at Allansford Hotel Motel, and that was 130 Australian dollars. So that works out £65 a night. Had everything you needed. Very basic, but it was comfortable, very comfortable. So at the end of day 3, that was the end of the Great Ocean Road. But we've decided to extend the car hire a couple of days extra, and we've headed back to a place called Lorne, which we stopped at on day 1 or day 2, I can't remember. So we've stopped at lots of different places on all 4 days. Car parking is free at all of them, so we've not had to pay one single car parking fee. And everything has been free apart from Wildlife Wonders, where we got the koala, the kangaroos, the wallabies, the emu. Again, that's probably the highlight of my trip. The hot springs at the end, we had to pay for that as well. And then the treetop walk, we had to pay for that as well. But everything else, all the other locations, have been free. The most touristy place was the 12 Apostles. That was just full of tourists. Yes, nice to see, but I couldn't get out of there quick enough. We did find a lovely cove just off the beaten track where we stopped for dinner down there, and that was stunning. We had the place to ourselves. What a location that was. So it's just worth getting off the beaten track a little bit and finding these lovely little hidden coves. The food over here is stunning, and there's loads of places that you can stop and eat. And everything is just fresh, and it's just beautiful. So we've had a cracking 4 days travelling. This is day 5, at which we're having a chill day at a place called Lorne. There's only one negative that I can think of, and that is at the end of the Great Ocean Road. There's no official plaque or sign. It's just basically, it stops at Allansford. So you go through Allansford onto the A1, and that's the end of it. So there's nowhere to stop and take a picture. So that was a little bit disappointing, but everything else has been absolutely stunning. And one thing I didn't touch on about the Great Ocean Road is that it was actually built by servicemen returning back from World War I. So it's potentially the longest war memorial in the world. And at the start of the video, I asked a question: is this the world's greatest coastal drive? And the answer is probably. And it's hard to argue against it. It's got everything. Dramatic landscapes, stunning viewpoints. It's rich in history. The wildlife is something else. It's well signposted. The roads are well maintained. The people are friendly. The food is stunning. Lovely beaches. It's what's not to love. It is special. It's definitely the best coastal drive I've done. It's up there with Norway and the North Coast 500 in Scotland. And yeah, I think it top trumps both them. So it's definitely my best coastal drive. Whether it's the best in the world, well, I'm just going to have to keep on exploring. So hopefully I've given you some tips and advice that might make your planned visit to the Great Ocean Road become a reality. And if you have made it all the way to the end, well done. And until next time, that's me signing off, and thanks for watching.